Hello, everyone. This is Tommy DeLeo, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the August 7th, 2026 issue of the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Please enjoy. New York Congressman talks ICE facility conditions. Chris McKenna, New York State Team USA Today Network. Just a day before a high-profile death in a federal detention center in New Jersey, New York U.S. Rep. George Latimer had walked the corridors of that very facility to see firsthand how immigrant detainees are treated in Delaney Hall. The Westchester County Democrat had arranged his visit a couple weeks earlier to exercise the same oversight role all other Congress members have played at the Newark facility. It just so happened his hour-long tour with fellow New York Rep. Richie Torres on July 31st came shortly before Edwin Lopez Cornejo's death. The second at Delaney Hall in 8 months, thrust the 1,000-bed detention center back into the spotlight. In an interview with USA Today Network on Wednesday, August 5th, to recount his trip, Latimer said that the tour reinforced his view that Delaney Hall and every other detention center are used by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement should be closed. Not because he saw anyone being mistreated while he and Torres were escorted through the dormitory-style living rooms, but because of what he observed was, in his view, an immoral and dehumanizing warehousing of people whose only offenses may have been living in the U.S. without proper authorization. My analogy is, as I was in an Amazon distribution warehouse, Latimer said, and instead of boxes, I was looking at human beings who had been moved there temporarily before being sent someplace else. There was nothing about it that, to me, respected the humanity of the individual. Lopez Cornejo had been held at Delaney Hall for 6 weeks, and when he died on August 1st. Federal authorities say he was arrested in Plainfield, New Jersey on June 18th for being in the country illegally. He first came to the U.S. from El Salvador 20 years earlier and was awaiting deportation. They reported he suffered on a medical emergency and was pronounced dead at a Newark hospital. No cause of death has been reported. Lopez Cornejo's mother has suggested in interviews that he wasn't regularly given the medicine he needed for diabetes and high blood pressure. And said he told her a day before his death that his hand and face felt numb. Federal officers said he was given the proper care at medical care at Delaney Hall. They listed his age as 41. His family says he was 39. The detainee who died before him at Delaney Hall was Jean Wilson Brutus, 41, who in December also suffered from what authorities described as a medical emergency, which was later found to be the result of a lung blockage. Delaney Hall has been in the news for chaotic protesting outside the facility since it reopened as an immigration detention center in May 2025. One early confrontation led to the arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and charges against New Jersey Rep. LaMonica McIver. In June of this year, the city set a curfew around Delaney Hall for a few days after protests intensified. Inside Latimer's tour of Delaney Hall Detention Facility. Congress members have invoked their oversight authority since last year to venture inside and inspect the conditions, as New Jersey Reps Josh Gottimer, Rob Menendez Jr., and McIver did, along with House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries on May 31st. Latimer said he and he had been urged by immigrant advocates to do the same. And he arranged the visit with Torres after checking with fellow New York City area Democrats who were interested. The tour started about 2 p.m. and took the two House members and their aides through Delaney Hall's common areas, its dining and recreational areas, and past rooms where detainees sleep in bunk beds. You're looking at a dorm room thing, and you're seeing like 8 young women sitting around on cots. They have double, triple bunk beds from quotes that I saw. Latimer recalled. They're reading and they're talking, but it's not jovial. About 835 people were being held at Delaney Hall at that time, he said, with 1 doctor and 6 nurse practitioners to take care of them. The workers who led the tour and answered questions were all employees of the GEO Group, a Florida-based company given a $1 billion 15-year federal contract to run the facility. Latimer said that he saw no ICE agents or officers in the facility during the tour. Latimer left feeling pretty depressed what I saw. I didn't see guys being beaten in the hallway, but I didn't have to see that, he said. I saw a philosophy, a different America, where, as I said directly, people are being treated like boxes. Latimer said he and Torres planned to release a joint statement about their visit when House members returned to Washington from their current recess in September. And he said they will also revisit existing bills seeking to change the immigration enforcement system to see what they might change or add to the system. Such legislation stands no chance in a Republican-controlled Congress and a Donald Trump presidency, Latimer acknowledged. But it could set a marker, he argued, for Congress members and their challengers to show the public where they stand on proposals that could someday be viable. Torres put his own statement about their tour on August 4th, deploring what he said was insufficient medical care with a single doctor for the 893 detainees in Delaney Hall that day, a slightly higher detainee count than Latimer's. He described the people he saw in there as visibly traumatized and shocked. The vast majority of detainees at Delaney Hall have no criminal history, he said. They should not be here. The Trump administration is wasting $1 billion on a facility that should not exist. Hearing airs child poverty struggles. Hear a waiver. Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network. New York State's Child Poverty Reduction Advisory Council held a public hearing on August 4th to present their anti-poverty efforts and to hear experiences and suggestions from New Yorkers. Barbara Ginn, Commissioner of the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, said the purpose of the hearings is to get out into the community and receive feedback on their existing services. It's really important that we make sure those who are eligible know about the benefits and they receive them, Ginn said. Some of the council's recommendations to decrease child poverty include creating a state housing voucher program similar to Section 8, increasing New York's child tax credit to $1,500 and establishing a state food benefit similar to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. With these recommendations, the council hopes to decrease child poverty by 50%. Tiana Johnson, a longtime advocate for the Children's Agenda, attended the public hearing and spoke from her own experience about the available benefits and programs. Having access to the programs and changes with the child tax credit, housing vouchers, and the public assistance and everything that At CPRAC, he is bringing to the state ultimately equates to an enhanced quality of life, Johnson said. As a legally disabled black single mother, the disparities in social and societal supports and opportunities here in Monroe County and across the state are staggering. Sam Muskowitz, director of the Shelter Services at Volunteers of America, said he has worked with shelters and housing for the past decade and has witnessed a troubling pattern. It is harder to afford and live in Rochester. We are no longer a city set up for the working class, Muskowitz said. Many assume that families with children become homeless because they are lazy, on drugs, or bad parents. This is not the case. 100% of our children are enrolled in school, and over 60% of our parents work. Many of our families become homeless due to situations out of their control. Following the public hearings across the state, the council plans to collect the information and see what changes they can make to their recommendations on decreasing child poverty. The council will also continue holding opportunities to hear people's experience with accessing different programs. Rochester couple charged in murder in death of boy. Victoria Frelly. New York Connecting, USA Today Network. A Rochester couple has been charged in connection with the death of a 2-year-old boy who suffered severe injuries in May, Rochester police said. India Duncan, 25, the boy's mother, and Joshua Velez, 30, were arrested on Tuesday afternoon and charged with the second-degree murder in connection with the boy's death, according to Rochester Police Captain Frank Umbrino. Additional charges are pending in connection with the alleged abuse. Boy found unresponsive. The police were called May 10th to 1630 Dewey Avenue for a report of an unresponsive 2-year-old, Marino said. The boy, identified as Isaiah Jones, also known as Isaiah Velez, was found unresponsive by emergency medical workers and firefighters who were at the building for an unrelated call. Isaiah was taken to Rochester General Hospital for treatment. Hospital officials reported Isaiah had multiple bruises, bite marks, and other concerning injuries. His condition was critical and his injuries were considered life-threatening. Despite extensive life-saving efforts and medical procedures, Isaiah died on May 18th, Umbrino said. At the time police were called, Isaiah was in the care of Duncan and Velez, who were in a relationship and lived with the child at Dewey Avenue residence. Police did not say whether Velez was biologically related to Isaiah. Monroe County medical examiner ruled Isaiah's death as a homicide caused by complications from non-accidental blunt force injuries to the head, Marino said. The medical examiner also documented additional non-accidental trauma to the boy's body, according to police. The Rochester Police Department's Major Crimes and Special Victims Units, the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, and Monroe County Child Protective Services investigated the death beginning in May. A couple accused of abuse. Duncan and Velez are accused of physically abusing Isaiah between May 8th and May 10th, including inflicting blunt force trauma to the head, Umbrino said. Police allege the abuse was prolonged and resulted in injuries throughout the boy's body, including bite marks, bruising, and bleeding in his brain. The couple is also accused of delaying or failing to seek medical treatment for Isaiah after he suffered the injuries that ultimately resulted in his death. What's next? Duncan and Velez were arraigned and remained in custody pending further court proceedings. Additional charges are expected, police said. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio reading service. Iran issues warning to Persian Gulf states. Bariza Hafezi and Samia Nakol. Reuters. Iran has made a concerted diplomatic push with Persian Gulf states, warning them explicitly that Tehran will hit their oil, power, and water plants unless they convince President Donald Trump to end U.S. strikes on Iran and instead seek a negotiated end to the war. The warning envisaged attacks on the energy facilities, oil fields, refinery, electricity grids, water infrastructure, transportation networks, and other strategic assets of Washington's closest Arab allies, according to a senior Iranian official. The message, part of a broader Iranian effort to deter further U.S. military action by raising the prospect of severe economic disruption across the Gulf, was delivered through a flurry of high-level diplomatic contacts after Donald Trump threatened on July 28th to strike Iran's energy network and infrastructure, the sources said. Two senior Iranian officials, two Gulf sources, and a senior regional diplomat with knowledge of the discussion said Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi spoke with his Saudi, Turkish, and Qatari counterparts, as well as Pakistan's army chief. All spoke on condition of anonymity and because of the sensitivity of the matter. Araghchi urged Washington's Gulf allies to use their influence with Trump to dissuade him from launching renewed strikes, the senior diplomat said, warning that any attack on Iran could prompt retaliation against U.S. assets and critical infrastructure across the Gulf. His message was consistent in every conversation, the diplomat said. We're ready to escalate, but finding a diplomatic solution is the best way to avoid wider escalation and destruction across the region. The Iranian warning was unequivocal. If America targeted Iran's infrastructure, they would retaliate by striking Gulf energy facilities and other regional targets, one Gulf source said. The diplomatic campaign underscores how Iran is seeking to turn Gulf vulnerability into leverage, confronting regional governments with the prospect that any renewed U.S.-Iran confrontation could place the infrastructure underpinning their economies directly in the firing line. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman subsequently spoke with Trump, urging him to delay military action, return to negotiations, secure a ceasefire, and pursue a diplomatic settlement, senior diplomat and Gulf sources said. The warning was intended for every Gulf state, another Gulf source said, but was conveyed primarily through Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Iran has in recent years repaired ties with its Gulf neighbors, including former regional rivals Saudi Arabia. Qatar, Oman, and Saudi Arabia have all urged Washington to resume talks with Tehran and avert renewed conflict amid Iranian warnings that another round of U.S. strikes could turn the region into a fireball. The second Iranian official said, on August 2nd, Trump said he agreed to cancel the attack on Iran subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. Saudi Arabia believes further escalation will only bring more destruction, the first Gulf source said, and that is why it urged Trump to give diplomacy a chance. While urging Washington to pursue diplomacy, also made it clear that it would defend itself if threatened. The second Gulf source said. And Saudi Arabia warned that any attack on its territory would be met with military response. Ali Shehabi, a Saudi analyst close to the royal court, said the kingdom's assessment is that further escalation is unlikely to achieve the desired result. The kingdom believes a combination of proportionate military responses and sustained pressure on Iran and the Strait of Hormuz offers the strongest path toward a practical diplomatic settlement. Shabai said. Iran's clerical leadership has demanded the closure of U.S. military bases in the Gulf and called on Gulf Arab states to stop sharing intelligence with Washington, which Tehran believes has been used to facilitate attacks against it. They still remember Saudi Arabia's Aramco, he added, referring to the September 2019 drone and missile attacks on the facilities that temporarily knocked out more than half the kingdom's crude oil production and exposed the vulnerability of Gulf energy infrastructure. The enemy continues to threaten Iranian infrastructure. If Iran suffers damage, it will inflict far greater damage in return, said the Iranian official, who cited the target list including power grids and refineries. From Tehran's perspective, Trump now faces two unpalatable choices. The senior Iranian official said, escalate a conflict that can engulf the Gulf and disrupt global energy supplies, or accept a negotiated outcome that falls short of the decisive victory Washington seeks. One of the principal obstacles to agreement, the senior regional diplomat said, is Washington's reluctance to allow Tehran to emerge claiming victory. The United States wants something it can present as proof that it won the war, the diplomat said. The message was delivered through a flurry of high-level diplomatic contacts after Trump threatened on July 8th to seize Iran's energy network, to strike Iran's energy network and infrastructure, sources said. Senate panel votes to hold Fauci in contempt. Zachary Shermill, USA Today, Washington. A Republican-led Senate committee voted August 6th to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci, the federal official who led the government's COVID-19 response in 2020, in contempt of Congress for refusing to answer questions during a July 29th hearing. The panel advanced the resolution to the full chamber on an 8-5 vote, with two senators also voting by no proxy to rebuke the infectious disease expert for asserting his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination during the congressional testimony. Over several contentious hours during the July 29th hearing before the Senate Homeland Security and the Government Affairs Committee, Fauci was repeatedly pressured by Republican lawmakers to discuss a number of both professionally and personally sensitive issues, ranging from his actions as the country's top pandemic expert to revealing his own revealing diary entries. Fauci's stonewalling, pleading the Fifth more than 100 times, enraged Republicans, most notably Committee Chair Rand Paul, R. Kentucky, who accused him of defying Congress. The sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say anything, and that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, Fauci told lawmakers. Any reasonable person who has allowed this unhinged obsession with me should readily come to the same conclusion. Paul has repeatedly advocated for the imprisonment of Fauci, a longtime political foe. Fauci stressed that it pained him not to answer senators' questions. And he insisted he respected the legislative branch's authority and underlined his decades-long record of cooperating with Congress. Before leaving office, former President Joe Biden issued a pardon for Fauci for any actions he took as a federal public health official between 2014 and 2025. The fact that that fact has prompted Paul and other Republicans to claim that Fauci is immune from concerns about self-incrimination, something that Fauci's lawyers and Democrats dispute, and left on a cloud of legal questions surrounding the political spectacle. Do you incriminate yourself if you have a pardon? Paul said. I think that's the question for the courts. Reuters reported that Paul believed Fauci's pardon nullified his Fifth Amendment claim and that any remaining protection was waived when Fauci agreed to testify. As larger legislative battles rage with the Senate about to leave town for August recess, it's not clear when or if the full chamber will ever take a vote on the contempt resolution. Paul has the option, though, of sending his committee's criminal contempt referral directly to the Justice Department, a step he indicated he plans to use. The Office of Pierrot, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, would review the referral if it proceeds and would decide whether to seek a grand jury indictment, Reuters reported. Fauci also is being investigated for his conduct during the pandemic by Louisiana, Florida, and Alabama, Reuters reported. Were a state to charge him for the crime, the federal pardon would not apply. Canandaigua families explore trucks during combined event. Mike Murphy, Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network. Canandaigua. The city of Canandaigua hosted its first national night out and combined it with its popular Touch a Truck event, drawing many kids and their parents to Canandaigua Lake. This free event was held Tuesday afternoon and into the early evening at Kershaw Park. In addition to being able to see and touch rescue vehicles, police cars, and heavy equipment used for public works projects, community members met the first responders, local law enforcement officers, and community agencies that serve the residents of the city and help keep them safe. Raffles, games, food trucks, and other activities also entertained visitors. Irondequoit man found dead after alleged pipe attack on dad. Victoria E. Fraley, New York Connect Team USA Today Network. An Irondequoit man is accused of attacking his father with a metal pipe before fatally stabbing himself inside a nearby home Tuesday afternoon, police said. A 38-year-old man allegedly struck his 72-year-old father in the head with a metal pipe before fatally stabbing himself inside a nearby home Tuesday afternoon, police said. A 38-year-old man allegedly struck his 72-year-old father in the head with a metal pipe in the backyard between two neighboring homes on Brower Road around 2 p.m. August 4th, according to Irondequoit Police Chief Scott Peters. Emergency responders found the father unresponsive with an apparent head laceration. He was taken to a local hospital for treatment. The son retreated to his nearby home before officers arrived, Peters said. Because police were initially unsure of his whereabouts, officers surrounded both homes as a precaution and remained at the scene for about 21 or 22 hours. After learning the son's mother, who was also the injured man's wife, was not home, the officers searched the father's residence and determined he was not inside. Officers then entered the son's home and found him dead in an upstairs bathroom, Peters said. Investigators believe the man died from self-inflicted stab wounds, Peters said. Officers were unable to make contact with him after the assault. Our officers had responded to the location several times before for mental health-related calls, Peters said, noting that Monroe County's forensic intervention team and mobile crisis had been involved in previous incidents. Peters also said it appeared the man had been acting erratic all day Tuesday. The father suffered a concussion and a head laceration that required stitches. He was treated at a hospital and later released, and this investigation remains ongoing. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. 280,000 eggs delivered to Rochester as part of price-fixing settlement. New York Connect Team, USA Today Network. More than 280,000 eggs will be distributed to families across the Rochester region following a multi-state settlement with 3 major egg producers accused of illegally coordinating to drive up egg prices. New York Attorney General Letitia James was announced Tuesday that 23,400 cartons of eggs, 280,800 eggs in total, were delivered to FoodLink in Rochester. Now, why are 280,000 eggs being donated to Rochester? The delivery is part of a multi-state settlement involving Cal Marine Foods, Versova Centrum, and Hickman's Egg Ranch, following an investigation into alleged egg price fixing. The investigation, led by the New York Attorney General's Office and the U.S. Department of Justice, found that companies coordinated their bidding strategies to influence a daily egg price index used in contracts across the industry. According to the investigation, the companies submitted artificially inflated bids to manipulate price quotes unpublished by Erna Berry, a widely used egg pricing device. The companies then withdrew the bids after the prices were influenced. The alleged scheme artificially increased the prices paid by retailers and consumers nationwide. How many eggs will New York receive? Under these settlements, the 3 companies will provide 53 million eggs to food banks and nonprofit organizations across 17 participating states. New York will receive 4,968,000 eggs. The eggs will be distributed through Feeding New York, the statewide network overseeing the state's food banks. The Rochester delivery is the second in a series of egg delivery to food banks across New York. Statewide deliveries are expected to continue through mid-October. In addition to the egg donation, companies will pay a combined $3.3 million to the participating states to implement measures designed to prevent future illegal coordination. How will FoodLink distribute the eggs? FoodLink will distribute the eggs through its network of food assistance programs and community partners serving 10 countries across the Rochester Finger Lakes region. We are grateful to receive this delivery of eggs at the cost of groceries, gas, and other basic needs continue to rise and impact the people we serve, FoodLink CEO Julia Tedesco said. The organization said the donation will provide a protein-rich food source to thousands of people in the region. What did the investigation find? The multi-state investigation found that the 3 egg producers began coordinating their bidding strategies at least as early as 2022 in an effort to influence the daily egg prices reported by Erna Berry. The companies allegedly used sham bids that artificially inflated prices to distort the benchmark, with the goal of increasing the prices laid by retailers and consumers. The settlement involved the attorneys general of 17 states, including New York, as well as the Justice Department. Price fixing of any kind is not tolerated in New York or across our nation, James said. I am proud to secure this delivery of eggs for families in need across the Rochester area. The companies have denied any wrongdoing as part of the settlement. Country Child Welfare to have internal review. Kiera Weaver and Victoria E. Frelly. Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network. Monroe County, with assistance from New York State, is conducting an internal review of its child welfare protocols and procedures following the May death of a 2-year-old Rochester boy, Isaiah Jones. The county announced Wednesday, August 5th, that its Department of Human Services will conduct the review with assistance from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. Jones, also known as Isaiah Velez, was found unresponsive May 10th at 1630 Dewey Avenue by emergency medical workers and firefighters who were at the building for an unrelated call. He was taken to Rochester General Hospital, where officials found that he had suffered multiple bruises, bite marks, and other injuries. Jones died May 18th despite extensive life-saving efforts, the Rochester police said. The Monroe County medical examiner ruled his death a homicide caused by complications from non-accidental blunt force injuries to the head. The medical examiner also documented additional non-accidental trauma to the boy's body, police said. India Duncan, 25, Jones's mother, and Joshua Velez, 30, have been charged with second-degree murder and in connection with his death. Additional charges are pending. Monroe County issues statement on child welfare review. Under state law, Monroe County said it cannot confirm whether there was a Child Protective Services case involving Jones or discuss confidential case information. The county said it routinely alerts the Office of Child and Family Services and begins an internal investigation and review when a child dies. OCFS is required by statute to conduct a review of each facility fatality investigation and issue a summary report 6 months after the local investigation. Given the seriousness of this case, we have also asked NYOCFS to assist in our review of protocols and procedures to ensure Monroe County is doing everything in our power to protect the health, safety, and well-being of children in our community, the country said in a statement. The country said the findings of the review, along with any actions taken as a result, will be made public. While New York state law limits the information we can release publicly at this time, those limitations do not lessen the pain, grief, and sadness our community is feeling as a result of this terrible tragedy, the county said. We share the public's concern and the community's demand for accountability and transparency. Legislator Rachel Barnhart said in a statement how heartbroken she is over the death of Isaiah and questioned whether Monroe County Child Protective Services had any prior involvement with the family. If there was contact, the public deserves a full accounting of what happened and whether our child protection system is functioned properly, Barnhart said in a statement. We must push for as much transparency as the law allows, whilst respecting the ongoing criminal prosecution and the confidentiality required during the state's fatality review. Barnhart reports the county undertaking an internal review of this tragedy, but said it's important to understand that under New York's law, OCFS is required to review child fatalities involving alleged abuse or maltreatment and issue a fatality report. Rochester couple charged in boy's death. Rochester police said Duncan and Velez were arrested Tuesday afternoon, charged with the second-degree murder. Police alleged the couple physically abused Jones between May 8th and May 10th, including inflicting blunt force trauma to his head. Investigators said the alleged abuse was prolonged and resulted in injuries throughout the boy's body, including bite marks, bruising, and bleeding in his brain. The couple is also accused of delaying or failing to seek medical treatment for Jones after he was injured. At the time police were called May 10th, Jones was in the care of Duncan and Velez, who were in a relationship and lived with the boy at Dewey Avenue residence. Police have not said whether Velez was biologically related to Jones. The Rochester the Police Department's Major Crimes and Special Victims Unit, the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, and Monroe County Child Protective Services investigated the boy's death beginning in May. Duncan and Velez were arraigned in custody and remained in custody pending further court proceedings. Additional charges are expected, police said. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services could not immediately be reached for comment. Do cyclosporiosis deaths in Michigan impact New York? Madison Scott, New York Connecting USA Today Network. Oh boy. 2 Michigan residents reportedly sick with cyclosporiosis have died. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, MDHHS, announced on August 3rd. The MDHHS has stated that the two individuals had underlying health conditions that may have been impacted by cyclosporiosis and dehydration. However, the news has raised concerns nationally and across New York State as cases continue to rise. Additionally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said it has confirmed 10,468 cyclosporiosis cases in 47 states since May 1st, with 255 additional unconfirmed cases under investigation. The CDC has stated that cyclosporiosis is usually not life-threatening. It has updated its tracking website to account for the 2 Michigan deaths and 517 total hospitalizations. Oh boy. CDC is aware of 2 cyclosporiosis related deaths in people with underlying health conditions from Michigan as part of this outbreak. The notice on the CDC website reads, the New York State Department of Health, which is currently updating its website with case numbers every Wednesday, it reports a total of 833 cyclosporiosis cases from May 1st through August 3rd, a significantly lower number of cases than Michigan, which is currently reporting a total of 12,218 cases as of August 5th. Federal health officials are continuing to investigate multiple clusters of cyclospora cases, including the multi-state outbreak linked to iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms, Mexico, and 9 U.S. states, none of which include New York. While Michigan is one of the states included in this multi-state outbreak, MDHHS has stated that the 2 Michigan residents who have died became sick before the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced the iceberg lettuce recall on July 17th. Both state and federal health data showed that cases in New York are lower than other states, and that there is currently no evidence that the contaminated lettuce impacted the Empire State. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're completely out of the woods with the foodborne parasite causing illnesses. Here's what to know about the current state of cyclosporiosis in New York. Updated cyclosporiosis case numbers in New York. As of August 5th, New York State Department of Health reports a total of 833 cyclosporiosis cases from May 1st to August 3rd, and 867 cases from January 1st all through August 3rd. This state health department will continue to update these case numbers on its website every Wednesday through the end of August. Preliminary data from the state last month showed a total of 511 cases between May 1st and July 10th, indicating that there has been an increase of about 300 reported cases since then. New York typically reports about 500 to 700 cyclosporiosis cases each year, with similar totals reported in 2024 and 2025, according to state health officials. As of August 5th, New York has not been connected to the FDA's investigation into the cyclospora outbreak linked to the Taylor Farms de Mexico iceberg lettuce that was distributed and sold at stores and Taco Bell restaurants across the country. 2 cyclosporiosis cases in Michigan. Now, what does it exactly mean for New York? Both the Michigan health officials and the federal health officials maintain the 2 individuals who were sick with cyclosporiosis died both had underlying health issues. Cyclosporiosis is generally not a life-threatening illness. This MDHHS wrote on its website, death resulting from cyclosporiosis is uncommon in the United States. MDHHS has not released any further information regarding the 2 deaths. There have not been any cyclosporiosis-related deaths reported in New York State as of August 5th. Does the lettuce recall impact New York? No, there are currently no recalls on any iceberg lettuce brands in New York State. The FDA's ongoing investigation into the multi-state outbreak involving Taylor Farms de Mexico iceberg lettuce reports that cases of Taco Bell exposure from the lettuce were reported in 9 states: Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Taylor Fresh Foods distributed the recalled iceberg lettuce from June 29th to July 16th in Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Minnesota, Missouri, Mississippi, North Carolina, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin. The recalled lettuce, which includes market-side brand products, was sold in some Walmart stores in Alabama, Arkansas, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. While the investigation into this iceberg lettuce is ongoing, Taylor Farms Mexico made an announcement on July 17th that they were removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico and the from the U.S. market. That same day, Taco Bell also announced its restaurants will no longer use lettuce from Taylor Farms de Mexico. Okay. For those of you who need or unsure, what is cyclosporiosis? Cyclosporiosis is an intestinal illness caused by the microscopic parasite Cyclospora cayetanensis. I don't know. People become infected after consuming food or water contaminated with the parasite. In the United States, outbreaks have been often linked to fresh produce, including cilantro, basil, salad mixes, snow peas, and raspberries, according to health officials. Unlike many stomach illnesses, cyclosporiosis is not typically spread directly from person to person. Symptoms can include frequent diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea and vomiting, loss of appetite, weight loss, fatigue, bloating, and muscle aches. Symptoms typically begin about a week after exposure, but can take up to 2 weeks to appear. Without treatment, illness can last for weeks or longer. How to reduce your risk? Oh boy. Health officials recommend the following precautions when handling and preparing fresh produce. Wash hands before and after handling fruits and vegetables. Clean and sanitize cutting boards, knives, food preparation surfaces. Scrub firm produce such as melons and cucumbers with a clean produce brush. Remove bruised or damaged portions of produce. Rinse fresh produce out thoroughly under running water before eating. Refrigerate cut, peeled, or cooked fruits and vegetables promptly. Cook food when possible, as heat can kill the parasite. When to seek medical care? Cyclosporiosis is not usually life-threatening, but severe diarrhea can lead to dehydration, especially among older adults, young children, and people with weakened immune systems. People experiencing persistent diarrhea, signs of dehydration, severe abdominal pain, or symptoms lasting more than several days should contact a healthcare provider. Alright, you have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the August 7th and from the Friday, August 7th issue on the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Your reader has been Tommy DeLeo, and thank you all for listening.